We are live.
Hello and welcome to Griefers Pub. Tonight we're going to be talking about our initial impressions of the new flight model in 3.23 with our special guest, ThumbInUrBum. Every time I have to say that name, I can't do it with a straight face. I'm sorry to say it. Every time I see it in the verse, it's just like, okay, there's something going on. It's just like, who's the target tonight? Who's the one that's got a bounty on his head? It's always Thumb. You see that on the bounty board, just like,
I'm
okay,
just
yep.
I just always think about I don't know why, but this just sticks out to me. But when Contagion was watching ArcVR's stream and he saw Thumb was in like showing up in the area and he says, "Uh-oh, Thumb's there and he's definitely gonna stick it in your bum." And then he got banned from his channel.
Damn.
Yeah, that's funny.
Is that why you changed your name so you could watch a stream now?
What do you think I changed my name?
Oh wait, you were Itachi, not Contagion. My bad.
All right, that's it. He's gonna walk out. We'll be adding Thumb as our second host of the show because Itachi had to rage quit. So that being said,
100%.
I think we got
100%.
before we get too off topic, I think we're just gonna pop in with the first question. Given that we've had a few days to actually play 3.23 in the verse and master modes, see its full effect, what are your initial impressions so far, guys?
I think like there's a lot of I see the vision, I see the master modes vision. But it's definitely like lacking in a lot of places, right? Like I spent a lot of time in BR and free flight, and that's where like I get a lot of my joy from, but yeah, those are
still
kind of
think you're
boring
there?
now,
Yeah, I was going to say, do you still have fun in that, or does it feel like you're just doing a chore at this point?
Yeah, it's not.
I
It's not
mean,
the same. It really isn't.
yeah, it's not this like I'll hop in, and I'll get some duels in, and
Mhm.
it'll be fun for 10 minutes, Whereas
Yep.
before, like I could literally duel all day. Like if you have a good crew in there, a good group of people in free flight or in BR, like it was a lot of fun. But now the BR is just basically nav mode merging and third partying
Yep.
and trying
Mhm.
not to get third partied and navving out to avoid getting third partied. And then, yeah, just kind of a bit lackluster. But
Yeah.
Squadron Battles is pretty fun.
Well, it feels like to me it's more. Oh, squadron battles can be pretty fun, depending, right? If you go in there alone, then and there's let's say 3 or 4 Avengers on the other squad, and they're going to be teaming up against you, so you're kind of screwed in that sense, right? So that's not a good look if you're in there alone. So, but it can be fun overall, like if you go in there with a team.
It's kind of went backwards. It's no longer you have to worry about who's in front of you. You have to worry about who's behind you at all times or coming in behind you. It's like Thumb in your bum, for example. Perfect
Yeah, I was going to say
example.
whether or not they're using it.
But yeah, I'm so that like free flight, it's more for the sake of like, so we'll practice a lot in light fighters and free flight, but it's not really practical right now to be in a light fighter in the PU, right? And so because if you're in a light fighter and there's a guy in probably a F7A, you're pretty much done almost immediately. So it feels less practical to me.
I do miss the days of being able to outmaneuver someone in like the arrow and actually be able to have like the 45s and being a little bit more fluid with motion. Now it feels super rigid
Yeah.
and I don't know, like always pitching up doesn't work for you. If you don't have head tracking, you're kind of in like a bad position because you're not always able to keep a visual on your target that way. Maybe it's just how I'm like doing things with like flight, but personally I feel like that's kind of where it has kind of gone. Like it has a conclusion to the battle, but it feels like it's really lacking in the excitement that the flight model once had. So that's kind of what I'm feeling because everybody's right there. Getting out's a lot more difficult if you have say interdiction, things of that sort. If you have the DPS, you can finish that battle pretty quick there and then. unless they like, nav out, then it's just a matter of just, I don't know, keeping them in the fight with interdiction. Otherwise, it's just it's too predictable. I feel in that regard,
Yeah, having a QED out on the field is going to be paramount if they're going to keep going in this kind of direction. I mean, even Yogi said that and Thumb also said that it's, you can see where they're wanting to go, but there's just a lot of practicality problems that are coming up. But yeah, any QED is going to be standard pretty quickly for anyone that's wanting to do PvP or obviously piracy.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what they could do to. So I understand numbers should matter, but how far should that take you, right? Above like tactics. And right now it really just feels like if you're outnumbered, you're just totally screwed. Going against decent pilots, of course. I'm not saying like, no offense, like Six Squad or something, right? But I feel like it would definitely be more dire of a situation if it was like against I don't know, Vanguard below us, these guys down there. Or PAX or so like going against anyone like that, if they have one more in the fight, I guess depending on what the composition is of the fleet, it definitely feels like it's going to be very detrimental for you to have one less, right? I mean, we haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot of, I guess, fleet composition yet because it literally just released yesterday. Or wait, what's today? Sunday? The day before yesterday?
2 days.
Yeah, I didn't even get
Friday?
a chance to really plan for. I know Friday night release, but
Okay. What do you think they're actually doing right? Like, what is it? The fleet composition? Is it the dogfighting? Like 2v2s, 3v3s that feel a little bit more proper now, or does it feel like it still needs a lot of work and fine tuning in that case?
I think like it still needs work. We have to remember too that we're kind of playing like an unfinished vision, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
So, Dad, you kind of heard me talking about this on my stream the other day. Like, we have 4 weapon groups, right? We have lasers, cannons, distortions, and ballistics. And within that, there's cannon, ballistics, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But right now, the only thing with a real role is distortion, right? Distortion doesn't do anything against shields,
yeah,
but if you get shields down, distortions are incredibly effective, right?
Yeah.
Like incredibly effective. They could pull people out of nav. They could prevent nav. They can, shut a ship down pretty quickly. But then the other 3 are quite useless. Like, yeah, ballistics, like there is a damage drop off if shields are up, and they do a little bit better if shields are down. And then you have repeaters and cannons, and those, like, obviously PvPers are gonna choose the highest DPS in alpha because that's what it is.
Mhm.
But in theory, if armor ever comes along, it kind of completes like
Yeah.
a little bit of that
That's
role,
true.
right? So then you're getting not only in fleet composition, but you're now fucking around with fleet composition and loadout composition within the fleet.
Yeah.
Maybe some ships you can start, being really effective with multi-weapon composition, or maybe you have one guy who's dedicated to X and another guy who's dedicated to Y. So I always try to remind myself that when we're when we're playing, like, there's a lot that's gonna come, that's gonna change. So with the current model, I don't think that really affects duels, but like in the squadron battle, like we're battling in the PU over a point of interest. Like I think they're it's close, and it definitely feels like a bit better than what we had before, right? Before the duels were epic, but then when, like, if Vanguard was fighting PAX, like it'd go on for fucking ever. Like everybody's going so fucking fast, right? Like if you get down numbers, like people be going fast to avoid shots and avoid missiles and all of this shit, and then next thing you know, the whole fucking team is back, and we're back at ground zero.
Yeah, there was
Yep.
no conclusion to the fight at all. I agree. But so
Yeah.
where it stands right now, so okay, so that night I had run into you with the other guy. I don't remember who it was, but you guys were in two Scorpiuses and you both had gunners, which we know that the gunner seat isn't working properly, so that you were using gimbals, I think, as a kind of a somewhat of a fix.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually had a blast. I did have a lot of fun in that situation. And although I did see you comment about like the spool times and being able to kind of like take off and then cancel the QT. So there's some things I do agree with. I feel like smaller fighters should be able to do things like that quicker than larger fighters. It just, to me, it kind of makes sense, right? Because they're more vulnerable to really be taken out. And as you can see, once you guys really got your sights on me, it was like my shields were gone and it was soft death, right? So, but I am curious though, if I could ask, like, what do you think would be more fair in those situations? Like, as far as QT spool and is canceling reasonable, or I like the idea of it canceling. I'll say that if you want to cancel your nav mode, you can immediately.
Yeah, I think having a cancel would be fucking awesome because even in just squadron battles, there's been so many times where I've been looking at the wrong target and I'll be fighting with cold kill and he was, way closer than I thought. And then now I'm in nav mode and have to like pull out and get my shields back and like weapons recharge and like all that shit. That would be pretty awesome to have a cancel button. As far as the fairness, I think that's above my pay grade. I don't know how I would balance. I just play game, I just pull trigger. But I I could see like maybe like something along the lines of what you were saying. Like if it's a smaller ship, it's a smaller drive. Maybe that's, spooling up and shutting down a little quicker than something larger. But I'm not sure how I would make that fair.
I mean, you've been spending some time out in the verse, like, right, since the drought plus an EPTU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've had a chance to really kind of mess around. And then we've had an opportunity to kind of test out like this EMP rather with stealth ships and how those kind of complement each other. So I feel like it is coming together quite well. For me, the thing I'm struggling with is like Light Fighter meta had to go, but they're like they feel like they're pretty much it's just a hindrance. Like you're absolutely useless in a Light Fighter out there, unless you come across somebody who's just not very good, right? I mean,
that actually brings up a really good question that someone just posted in chat. Itachi, did you want to make a note of that first? It looks like you had something you wanted to say.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it feels like they really squashed down the effectiveness of like all the light fighters to just make more headroom for all the other combat ships, and that is one thing. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I brought that up with them. I said that is the one big benefit I do actually like about master modes is now they squash down that effectiveness for the light fighters, and now you have your heavy fighters, you have your multi cruise ships like the Connie and the Cutlass and things like that, where
there's more purpose.
they now have an actual purpose, a practicality, a role in a real fight rather than just being a bullet sponge.
Yeah,
yeah,
which I prefer.
It actually brings up that question: has CAG achieved any sort of rock paper scissors with this iteration for ship builds and fleet composition, or does it feel like it still has some progress to be made?
I think it's.
I don't feel that there's a. Yeah, I think it's closer. I don't think there's an actual rock paper scissors yet.
Yeah, and I don't know if I like fully agree with the rock paper scissors thing. Like I think maybe generally that's a good idea, but like the days of like 1v10ing people were so fun. Like that was sick.
Yeah.
But probably not good gameplay for the people on the other side.
Yeah, it's a bit unrealistic too.
Yeah, a bit unrealistic. Well, I mean, yes and no too, right? Like this kind of like touches onto the rock paper scissors thing a bit, but like basically if you guys know anything about like modern fighters, right? F-16 and 35, right? Like a 35 is going to fuck up a shit ton of F-16s. Number
That's
one,
true,
because
yeah.
the F-16 will never see the 35, and that thing's loaded to the guns with, or loaded to the teeth with fucking missiles, which, you know, as Vanguard, you got to appreciate
That's
missiles.
Vanguard,
Yeah. So, like, I mean, and I do think, like when they do red flag events, you know, if you get incredibly new pilot or a group of new pilots going up against like a top tier group of, you know, enemy red flag pilots, like they're gonna fuck them up. You know what I mean? Even if they're outnumbered. So like,
and right now that's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely harder. It's harder. It's like, I feel like now it's mostly capitalizing on other people's bad communication is like what's going to allow an outnumbered group to beat a bigger group, which that's also kind of cool. Like that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
And we see that in squadron battles, like you were saying, Elder. Like if I hop in alone or just with one other person, and you know we get on a team and that other team is highly coordinated and our teammates are in other discords doing god knows what, like out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere on their own or going into the hornet's nest alone, and then they die, and then like boom, like we're fucked. But if me and my partner have good communications and roles are reversed, we can like pick people off and it's highly effective.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But okay, I'm sorry. I want to jump on though. So when that's true, right? For modern day, it was the F-35, was it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to destroy. That's true. There's actually instances where that happens, where they can't even touch them, right? So that's true amongst a multiple of light fighters, right? And if you have one pilot in like probably like the best ship you have to offer and he's like an amazing pilot, then yeah, there should definitely be an obvious advantage, and there is some realism to that. So for me personally, when I'm thinking rock paper scissors, I'm thinking more like fleet composition of rock paper scissors, right? So if you have so if you have you know, 3 light fighters versus a hammerhead with, you know, a Connie and a light fighter, right? No matter how much skill I have, I shouldn't be able to take out the hammerhead. So like I would think that's more of what I'm thinking, right? And then also there's and then you would think more rock paper scissors as far as also the build of the ships as well. So if you have 2 equally good pilots, right, but one is built to take down a more generalized type of ship and the other is specifically built to take out that ship. You know what I mean? So there's different aspects of the rock, paper, scissors.
Do you think that the blade, the razor, and the scythe would be scissors in that case? Never mind. That was
See what I mean? He's so serious about his jokes.
Okay, so what are they actually
doing?
What are they actually doing right, do you feel, when it comes to like flight movement and everything else? I'm just, because I'm a guy that was so used to the 45s that trying to pitch up and trying to figure out like the role and everything with that to, you know, get the most of your like maneuvering. It feels really, again, like super rigid, and I don't know, do you think there's something that they could do to improve that?
Whew, that's a loaded question.
I know it's a loaded question. Like,
so
if you had a perfect flight model, what would you do to maybe make it a little bit more, you know, balanced in that regard?
I don't know. I think I would get rid of like the I think the part that holds this flight model back is the fact that like when you get to the top end of your speed, your movement is like, you know, non-existent, right?
Yeah.
Like
Agility
you could
is
kind of
gone.
test it too. Yeah, you could test it where like if you're just sitting still and you do some maneuvers like side to side, you know, classic 3.22 wiggles, right? The thing moves a lot, but as soon as like you're up to that top speed end, you're just fucked. I think I also would bring back, like, I don't think they were intuitive, but 45s allowed for us to make not only positional combat achievable,
Mm-hmm.
but also allowed us to make maneuvers, right? So if we're using my screen right here, like, and we could only turn on pitch, we only got one way to go, right? That movement for your fastest turn rate is just dialed into this one plane, right? But when we have 45s, like this was a big part of like my flight style in 3.22 was I utilized dual 45s to create either space or to capitalize on somebody's really bad choice, and I now have position. You know what I mean? Like I could get the position on them, like, you know, alternating 45s, right? You could get people like trying to like catch up to you, and you could switch to the other 45, you know, and it was like, it just made a lot of space. It also made room for error, right? On the other side, right? Like if you're not in a perfect 45 or you're more yaw or more pitch, like you're going to get punished for that. But now it's kind of like, yeah, 45s aren't as strong, but they're not really like slow enough to like punish a pilot for making, you know, and where you could hold position on somebody like you could in the 3.22.
Yeah.
So my perfect flight model, I would like get rid of that weird fucking cap that like slugs your movement down, and I would bring back 45s.
Yeah, you know, I had I was talking about the same thing. I was doing a stream and I brought up some examples of that because, like you're saying, right? You would have the ability to basically work into a pre-turn, right? So I know that right now when you try chord, it's the same thing as doing a straightforward push, which I think it works, right? You can work with that. But being able to use the 45 and kind of try chording it to you could work that into a maneuver, right? You could also position them in a way where it's gonna work for your quickest turn into it while you're pushing through, right? And that allows for a certain type of position. And you really can't do that now. And then I don't understand why 45s can't at least be the same as a full pitch. Why would they just remove that? Because you feel it. Once you hit that full pitch, all of a sudden your pitch, your turn rate just, you know, skyrockets. So you could feel it, right? But it feels very hindering. My other thing too is like, I'm sorry. I think I lost my train of thought there. What was the other thing? It was about the 45s, the pitch, and as far as like the speed, the SEM thing is still killing me. I feel like, why do we have to go into coupled mode once we go over SEM? Because I think that's a big part of what's really hindering it. Right? Why can't you hit 480, what is it, 490 to 500 or something? Why can't you hit 500 and you continue in that trajectory, right, until you push the other way, right? So you have to use your boost to get there. So if you're out of boost, then that means you won't be able to boost over SCM, right? But if you have boost, you got to use boost to get there. But why would the ship couple on you? Because I feel like that also kind of like, that really messes with that freedom as well.
Yep.
That's my take
100%.
on that.
No, I agree with that, man. It's always thrown me off with that. I mean, speed limits. I've been one of the guys that always complains about speed limits to begin with, but now it's just even more so.
Why do I feel like he was going to keep talking there?
No, that was it. I was just agreeing. I'm sorry. Let me make it shorter. I just agree.
No, I thought you were going to keep going. It just kind of stopped. I felt like it was abrupt. Sorry.
Well, you think I have a lot to say?
So given the current flight model changes that we know and how they affect gameplay in the persistent universe, what is its current impact on solo gameplay? If, like, say you're not just like a Bob, but like a PvPer that likes to, solo bounty hunt, what is that looking like now these days? Even like, a box delivery mission in an Aurora? Are they phasing out solo gameplay?
PvP, bring a Mantis.
Yeah, I think the solo PvPers are going to have to be more, it's going to create more rats. Like just more sneaky plays, I guess. But even as like a solo, like the other day I was in the PU and I was solo. I was a criminal. I had a crime stat 4 and I just killed a guy and I had, broke right now. So I was like, I need armor. So I fucking looted this guy's armor And as I was looting, I noticed somebody was shooting my ship. They soft death it, and then all of a sudden, like 8 other ships landed, and I got captured. They put me on a mantis. They incapped me, put me on a mantis, and were like, "You can either join us or go to jail." No, it wasn't. It wasn't. They were like, "You can join us or go to jail." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'll just join you because I don't want to fucking go to jail." But even if I was in my ship, like fighting 9 fighters in this flight model, I would have died, unless I easily. and they had a mantis, so I couldn't run. So yeah, the solo gameplay is now a lot more serious. It's a lot scarier.
A lot more
just to hop in and get a crime stat and go low flying and see if some guy hunts you.
Yeah.
Well, this weird.
I was gonna say if I captured Thumb, I'd probably have him in like an arrow though, like stuffed into the seat or something like. What I had like 5 people the other day. It was a lot of fun, but just good stuff.
But I think especially what makes that difficult too for the solo is if somebody has you in QED, right? Now you can't even go into nav mode.
Well,
so
you can't. It doesn't make a difference.
It doesn't make a difference, exactly. So now you're stuck at this SCM speed with boost, right? Whatever the boost is, and also it's like, again, if you're boosting over SCM, you have to hold that boost and burn it all out to continue holding that speed, and then it's going to pull you down to SCM. So it's worse now in that situation because there's no getting out of it, right? You're kind of stuck where maybe you can string them out for a little while. I guess it depends on the ship you're in, but I doubt if you're in an Aurora solo you're going to get anywhere, or like a Lava ship.
I think solo players are now going to have to you're going to see a lot of solo players flying Cuddies, Vanguards, something they could stack a lot of missiles on, because missiles right now are way OP. Yeah, Connies. Because if they just have one Mantis, so it's like 2 missiles and that thing's done.
Spinning in circles. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mantis is not meant to be alone.
Or the other day I was flying the Mantis and I got hit with 1 missile and my QED was just off. I wasn't spinning or anything. I was just off, I couldn't.
Yeah, I heard if you hit it with ballistics, you can actually disable it now. So that was kind of interesting to hear about. I don't know if that's intended to be long term, but that's what happens currently in the.
Honestly, I think it is. I mean, maybe the ratios will change in terms of how much damage it can take, but I think it's 100% supposed to. I mean, Elder shut me down I don't know how many times just at the immediate beginning of the fight with ballistics. I was like, oh, cool. Well, I have 2 size 3s and I'm about to die. That's it.
Yeah. Which is cool because then it adds to the whole rock, paper, scissors thing, right? Well, how do you...
It does.
What do you do to combat that situation where somebody's going to come in and EMP the shit out of you, right? Well, if your group is prepared with some ballistic ships, right? So maybe that does less damage to shields, right? So it takes time for the shields to come down, and it does do some bleed through. But if they have a hardened, well, it does damage to the components, right? So that is something you might be able to plan for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was, and going to what you were saying about the rock, paper, scissors thing. Yeah, the EMPs that I use, the ballistics take it out. Okay, well, I don't want to go against ballistic ships. And it does kind of create that little triangle or that rock, paper, scissors. I just don't think we're completely there yet. And it's definitely not in a balanced state because we don't have everything. I mean, for example, all your stealth ships, useless. Completely useless right now because I mean the Ghost, for example, was extremely good at sneaking up. Shoot, you could come up to JT and almost about to land before you pick up the Ghost that's sitting just off to the side of it, and they haven't adjusted any of the signatures yet. So
it's just delete a comment really quick.
What?
Just kidding. Nothing.
Oh. Jeez. Well, you know what? I think part of the problem with that too is that for any effective travel at decent speeds, you have to be in nav mode. And nav mode has your EM signature, huge as hell. So if you're in a Hornet and you want to be able to get to your target, you're going to go there at freaking 230 ms, from 10 clicks. It takes forever. I mean, or well, more than that if you're in Atma, whatever. But so Contagion actually mentioned to me, he's like, oh, well, when you turn off and you just go to straight nav mode, because you have the ability to remove like those markers and all that, and it's just like nav without the markers, and you can't like quantum jump because you can't see the markers. It should turn off that part of the quantum drive that allows you to move fast but not actually be in quantum, right, or whatever. So the EM is no longer spiking. Like that would make
Contagion
sense.
saying it doesn't go down. I was wrong.
I know. I remember
What
you.
doesn't go down?
I know. That idea makes sense, right? How are you going to really work stealth so well if you can't even get to the damn fight without shutting off your QT drive, 20 clicks away and waiting for it to come down? Like it doesn't really make any sense. It needs to either be a quick cooldown or something.
Yep.
So this is like you were saying before. There's a lot that they still have to do. It is in the beginning stages. We can see that it's starting to come together, though, right?
Yeah.
I think it is. So,
okay. Next question. What is its impact on PvP gameplay? How noticeable do you feel it is after the skill ceiling was reduced? Just overall, have you had like any encounters in the verse where you've had a chance to fight like other PvPers or other PvEers? Just kind of see how balanced it is now.
I fought one. He's right over there.
Yeah, I definitely, in the very beginning, I was getting incredibly frustrated with the skill ceiling being removed and being killed by people that never even seen before over and over again. But as I learned, that was on me for not fully understanding the flight model. I had a lot of old habits I had to break from 3.22.
I might be guilty of that.
Yeah. But I think the thing, like, so here's what keeps coming to my mind. Like, I'm a pretty new player. Like, I started in 3.18, and I feel like I have like a pretty unique flight style in 3.22. So for that flight style to be around for so long, and new players coming in or people discovering new things, it took that long, and people were still like evolving on top of this, flight model. Granted, things, got changed and tweaked and all of this stuff, but like there was still like evolution happening there.
mm-hmm.
And I think like that's going to be the same with this. Like, obviously we're going to be capped out, it feels like, for quite a while. Hopefully that skill ceiling gets raised, please, Yogi. But yeah, I think like things are going to keep evolving. People are going to figure out new things. And then the other big thing that I see that's going to change a lot is arena commander fights, even squadron battles, are not going to be the same as POI fights.
Yeah, of course.
Like
there's like etiquette
like
and
that
everything.
Yeah. There's no etiquette there, but also like I'm guilty of this in squadron battles. I like to fly around in the what's it called, the Penguin. The Warlock.
A Ranger.
It's kind of been my really fun little new ship that I really enjoy flying. And I've noticed sometimes, like, if I get in trouble because that thing's so squishy, I'm like fucking gone. Like, I'm inking. That's what we call it when we drop chaff. Like, I ink, and then I'm like fucking nav mode. And the next thing I know, I turn around and I'm like 15K out from my teammates. You know what I mean? In the PU, that could be a death sentence to your team, right? If you're holding Jump Town or something like that, you cannot do that. Especially if you're outnumbered or equal numbered, right? If you're a part of a highly organized blob org like I am in Vanguard, you'll be fine. But for all you other loser PvP orgs, you're gonna have to really, really watch out for those extensions. But I think like as we develop into the PU and as people start making their money and as people start locking down locations and we see more org v org over points of interest, I think we're going to see new tactics like flourish and things that are working for other orgs and potentially discovering new roles that are more effective in Atmo or in space. And so I think it's really gonna open up as soon as we kind of get there.
Yeah. Can so can I kind of jump on this? So you were like, please Yogi, right? So about the flight model, and because AC is kind of So have you guys seen that post from Yogi in Spectrum? So basically it was like, request for Yogi, can you make a video that shows us what combat in 323 should look like? I'm just, if you don't mind, I want to pull this up real quick.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because yeah, I have it here. I'll just share that portion of the screen. Just bear with me, guys. Let me get it in here.
While you're doing that, can I just ask the next question? We can come back to this. What is its impact on like PvE gameplay? Does it feel like the AI skill level is too high, or does it feel like it hasn't been tuned yet? Because I've noticed that they turn a little bit faster than I do on occasion. I was wondering if you guys have run into that as well.
Definitely ran into those fuckers running into me.
Being stuck in an imaginary bubble now, yeah, it feels like you're going to get rammed all the time.
Yeah. In my opinion, like, I avoided PvE like the plague on 3.22 and below because it was so fucking boring, But now it's like actually kind of fun. Like, I mean, they have a little work to do, and it's obviously server dependent, but if you could find a server that's 15 FPS or higher, like, it's hard. Like,
yeah,
it's
they flank you. They'll flank you. Like, it's really cool.
Bob?
Wait, are we talking? Who are you talking about?
Am I Bob? Yeah, dude. I'm mining. I'm pressure washer simulator. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out there salvaging. Yeah. I'm trying to make money right now. Don't hate on me, dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we have guys doing reclaimer stuff and everything. I have this up, by the way. I do have this up.
Let's check that out. Let's check that out. Right. That'd be awesome.
So, although I got to resize it, so I know it's not perfect. Sorry, guys. But yeah, looking at this is basically the post right here. Is that too small?
Yeah, zoom in with control and middle mouse button. Scroll up.
Oh, no, it's
in the
X fine. The chat can see it.
No, they can't. Trust me. It's too small. That's what she said. Okay.
Right,
but yeah,
right. You know what? I'll just do this. Yeah. Yeah. How's that? All right, that's the box. All right. Anyway, so right. my Zoom isn't actually working. Oh, there we go. All right. So just kind of looking at this, right? So basically, it's what?
Enhance.
Dad, shut up.
No, I really can't see it. I can't see shit. I've got like two different windows open here. So
yeah.
I thought you were just pretending to be
a
crime
now can
scene
actually read it. Thank you. Okay, so what is this? You want me to read it?
No. So this is Yogi. So this is Yogi's response to somebody asking him to make a video, which I thought was hilarious because he's like, "No, I will not make a video about 323 combat," and that is for a number of reasons. So he just goes on to basically explain that they understand that it's not where it needs to be, right? And he has a list here of bullet points, basically, showing the things that they know it needs to be changed, right? So I'll just kind of like skim through these real quick. But snub fighters are not really where they need to be. Light fighters are now too weak, which we know is absolutely true because it feels pointless to be out there in a light fighter. You're gonna get screwed. 1v1 dogfights are lacking 100% because you don't have any positional, like you were saying, Thumb. Right? There's no real positional gameplay. It's not, for me, it's not as fun. It is definitely more an aim race, right? Ability to evade shots, he says. Adding jerk back into the CS. What does IFCS actually mean? Anybody?
In-flight control system?
Oh, I guess, maybe. Okay. I think the ramp up, they probably made the ramp up too much. Maybe the ramp up's too slow now, and that's why you can't evade. Let's see here. Trying out an egg-shaped velocity space. Iterating on the AI to make it hit less perfect. Okay, so AI has definitely gotten more fun to fight now.
It's the wrong name. It's the wrong name. Yeah, I noticed that.
What?
He's got the underscore Satan name.
Darth underscore again.
Oh,
Okay. Anyways, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Well. So basically though, it's
Yeah.
like these first couple right here, these first 5 to me gives me hope right there, because it's saying, hey, we understand that light fighters aren't with, because I know light fighters aren't everything, right? And in a PU, you don't want a team full of light fighters. I want that balance and all that, but it
Yep.
also, I do miss the amount of time I had to spend getting better, right, in AC for like the 1v1 dog fighting stuff. Like I really enjoyed that, and it's really dumbed down, and it's not a whole lot of fun, and that's just, so this gives me more hope, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think
love that
this,
he made a list, but it wasn't a short list. Like he threw in a lot of things that,
yeah.
vary in priority, but I love the fact that he did this. And I actually, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier when I was saying that Yogi is fully aware that while they're pushing it in a direction, and we can see that a little bit, it's got so many things that still need work.
Oh, here's a big one. Make
Okay.
the pilot in combat less about aim and more about flight. Excuse me. Right. So
Yeah.
I guess right now the advantage is for mouse aimers, right? Right. I mean, that's what I've been
Hmm.
hearing. It's like a mouse aiming
Yep.
meta,
So if you have
which
like
is,
a right mouse and then left like stick, that's kind of like a good meta to work with because you have like full control of that and a lot more
yeah.
precision.
Yeah. So, which is good because you need some ability to maneuver, right, to be able to fly in a more positional manner, to be able to to kind of balance the scales, right? Because you have some people that are better with aim and some people that are better with the flight mechanics.
Hmm.
So that's that. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. It's a good post. I'm sure most of you have already seen it. All right.
Tool mouse is better.
Two mouse is better. Who
He's
said
right. Have you ever
that?
tried it?
I've heard that joke before.
Yeah. So if you guys could make any suggestions to CIG for improving master modes in its current iteration, maybe down to like 3 things, what would you suggest? Like maybe the overall like speed, the overall amount of like boost that you're given, or what would you do?
I would ask 45s back. You
Hmm.
know,
Mm.
give us those 2 angles of attack. Um,
Yep.
I would say make the power triangle great again. You know what I mean? Like now
Understood.
it's
Yeah.
just
Actually, yeah, yeah.
now it's just
100%.
That's a good
There's
one.
no purpose behind it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Hmm.
a lot of like in my opinion like the top tier fights, you could argue that they're lost on power management issues.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously there's other, but I do think like at least for me, like there's been a lot of times where I've like lost to another like really good pilot, and I'm like, fuck. I mean, I put my power to shields like too soon, and like whatever. Um, and then somehow give us movement back. Whether
Yeah.
that's I don't know what that means. Like it could be, and I hate to say this, but it could be like what AV1 is suggesting, like bring it up to 500, give us that breathing room to create the space and maneuverability before we get speed walled. Um, or maybe it's something else, but yeah, just somehow give us movement and positions back.
Yeah.
One thing that, and touching on that, I agree with all those. One thing I was kind of talking with someone the other day, and I don't remember. It's kind of a not fully fleshed out idea. It's got its own issues, but in terms of agility for this little bubble that we basically keep putting ourselves in between the nav mode and SCM mode, is to, I think we were talking about your ship instead can go faster and still stays decoupled, but it generates more and more heat the faster you're going. Like the engine's getting hotter and hotter, keep pushing that kind of thrust. But there again, that kind of comes with its own issues as to how you balance that. But that's one way to kind of make it more practical instead of just having this like imaginary bubble. That's the best way I can put it. and
You're talking
I
about
don't
the egg
like
shape
how
when they
that
say
works.
that? You thinking the egg shape?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like it's obvious that it should, your thrusters that are not your main thrusters should be weaker than the others, right? So it takes more time. You get less G's out of them. Like that makes sense. But like this like weird limit. I
Hmm.
understand that people are like, backstrafers and kiters and get rid of them all, right? But like, it feels to me like the harder they try to remove it, the worse it gets, first of all. And second of all, if the person's backstrafing away from you and you backstrafe back, there's no fight. You know, like sometimes you gotta just, you know what, fucking, excuse my language, but I don't know, let it go. You know, like I understand it's annoying and it's irritating and all this stuff, but there's ways to not deal with it. And one of them is to, okay, well, if you're gonna try to kite me, right? So you're strafing opposite the pip, I'll strafe opposite the pip too and see where that ends up. Right?
Yeah.
We both end up going like this. So
I think personally, I'd like to see the movement feel a lot less artificial because right now, every time you push right, it feels like, or like say I strafe right, the movement's just very like it feels too arcadey at the moment for
Hmm.
like personal reasons. I miss being able to low fly. I tried the other night in the arrow, and everything just feels very like boring. I can't do half of the maneuvers that I was able to do, prior to
yeah.
like patch updates. Like I don't
It
know.
kind of feels like your simulated weight is no longer consistent. Like the mat, like to slow down speed. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a terrible way of explaining it.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like when you're correcting or being agile, or like he was just saying, low flying. Never mind. It was a terrible example. Moving on.
I mean, I just face now. I do that all the time. It's not on you at all.
If it made sense, it made sense. If it doesn't, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's so when you use the example of low flying, is it because there's not a lot of maneuverability in general? Is that
You don't have the control of 45s anymore, so you're always relying on rolls and pitch. So your movement's really restricted
oh, it
now.
does sound boring. Yeah.
You know,
You're pretty much
You
just
can't
flying
do-
straight forward.
yeah, you're doing bob rolls and just a couple other maneuvers, and that's about it. It feels really dull.
Didn't
I miss
Call
being able to like kind of feel like you're actually gliding. Now it just feels like you're just hovering over the surface and not doing anything.
didn't
It
Carl
doesn't feel
just
like
do a
there's.
video about low flying also? I didn't watch it yet, but
He
I'm
did. He
wondering how
did. You
that
should check
looked.
it out.
Was
Do
it
you
did
want to
he
check?
make it work or was it boring for him too?
We could check it out if you want. How's that sound? I've got a link, and I can get that up in just a moment.
I'm a bit curious. Do you do any low flying, Thumb?
Yeah, I do. In fact, the other day on my stream, somebody who was new looking at the game was like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and I was explaining low flying, and I was like, "Oh, I'll low fly for you." I started low flying, and I died in like 3 seconds, and I was like, "Oh, nice."
Wait, so are you
Nice.
guys low flying in nav mode? I'm assuming, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
you
'Cause
do nav. You do the flight mode, right? So I don't
Yeah.
have a. It's the so you go into nav mode and then click the middle mouse button. And
Oh,
it
yeah,
kind of
okay.
gets rid of all that cluttered shit.
That's what it's called, flight mode. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That should.
Okay, I do have it.
That was the one I
up
was
if
talking about. I'm
you
sorry.
Want to check this out?
Yeah. Let me pull it up in the main review. Get rid
Yeah,
of this
low flying
box.
is definitely way different now. We I feel like because we lost G's, right? Like you kind of get
We did,
yourself out of
yeah.
a sticky situation,
Pretty much.
with a tricord or something.
That's sad. There were definitely good things. In the I know the past, like the old flight model definitely had some issues, like the fact that it would end up going mock Jesus and stuff like this. But
So you notice that it's a lot of pitching for control and like direction now. And it's
how
less.
fast is he going? He's going about. Is he going like right at? Oh, yeah, he's hitting like SEM, isn't he?
He's at SEM, yes. Like it's not horrible by any means, but it doesn't feel, like I said, as fluid as it used to be. And
Well,
that's
because you used to
kind
be
of
able to
my
do a
big
lot of
complaint.
stuff where you're pretty much like. I feel like this would be a problem. I haven't tried it yet, But you know how if you're doing low flying with a group and you have like that big ship you're centered around and like you kind of come up and you're flying sideways looking at it and you kind of come under it and stuff like that. Like I feel like you can't do any of that sideways maneuvering, right? Because you're probably gonna hit a wall pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
It still looks really boring.
Yeah, definitely doesn't look as exciting. Like
No, it really isn't. But
yeah,
like you
like
said,
when in the live or 3.2, it's not live anymore. So 3.22 model, like you could actually like hold your, like if this was your nose and this is the ground, like
oh yeah,
you could hold a position like this and just up strafe or down strafe depending on which way your, you know, the top of your ship is facing it. You could literally like hold, and people could even like spin, and
that's true. Yeah,
they could go backwards and stuff like that. And we just lost all those G's, which, you know, is whatever, but here we are.
I mean, which I understand. I'm going to switch over, but so I understand, right? If they're going for more, this is what's confusing about the game, right? Are they going for like simulation realism or not, right? Because if you're going for like a more realistic flight model in atmosphere, right, then you have controlled surfaces. How would you fly like that, right?
You wouldn't. It'd just
Yeah.
be like low flying in DCS.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly,
you're
right?
just
So
getting an F-16 super close to the ground, going straight.
yeah, so yeah,
That's all it
exactly.
is.
So if they're going for that realism with the controlled surfaces, and obviously that's going to change low flying because you're not going to be able to do that. But I don't know. There should be some form of, you know, futuristic flying or something where you just pure thrust, right? I mean, we don't know what the engines are going to be like, you know, 1,000 years in the future or wherever the hell this takes place. I forget. Is it 2959 or something? I don't know. My ignorance is showing.
54 this year.
2954? Is that what it is?
2954.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost
30.
Yeah, it's almost 1,000 years in the future. So I'd imagine that you'd have pretty powerful thrust, but
okay.
I
Well, that's pretty much like I was going to say. That's pretty much all of the questions that I had for you guys. Unless there was anything else you wanted to bring up about like the new flight model, or we could segue into 3.23. What's your overall opinion? I'm kind of mixed personally on the new patch. Just overall, I think it has a lot of, you know, quality of life improvements, but along with that, it kind of takes out a lot of elements that made Star Citizen feel like Star Citizen, you know, in the first place.
It's not as buggy as I was expecting. There's a lot of improvements, but I think there's a lot of, instead of bugs, I think instead we have more practicality issues.
Yeah.
I just want to jump on what River said. Yes, we all agree the pips are terrible. All right, is anybody here saying otherwise?
I
What's
love
a
the new
pip?
pip.
No, really?
I'm just kidding. No, I hate it. I'm just kidding.
It's garbage. Yeah. I
Damn
was just
it.
gonna say. Oh, here's a good question from Arcane Asylum. He asks, "What's your own secret sauce of the new meta?"
You mean ship specifically? Does it end with an A or a 2?
You didn't say anything about ships or FPS. You just go ahead and tell me what you got. We'll keep it open.
I'm assuming he's talking about ships, right?
Yeah, I'm not real. I don't understand the question.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's just gloss on by that one. We'll just
All right.
pretend he
Yeah.
didn't ask it. But yeah, I mean, I've been curious too. Like, so what do you? How are you feeling about 3.23 as a whole so far?
I'm a tinkerer. You know, I like to try things out and discover new things. So, you know, I'm definitely feeling the skill cap, or what I think is a skill cap. But I'm excited to just see what works, you know, in the PU. Like I said earlier, like when we get a jump town or something to lock down and an org comes in, like I'm excited to see what PU ship composition starts to look like. And
Well,
so,
I mean,
so far I've been enjoying it. I like it.
I mean, more generally, the patch itself. So not flight model,
More generally.
just
Okay.
generally. Yeah. How are you feeling about the patch?
I've been thoroughly enjoying it. Like I said, like Dead pointed out, I'm becoming a Bob. In fact, I have an alt that I've been using for a 0 to hero, and it's his name is or her name, because it's a girl character. You know, smaller hitbox. There's your meta right there, Arcane.
You've been LARPing?
Its name is For All Bob Kind.
All right.
And
That's a great name. Yeah.
I've been enjoying doing the Bob stuff. The NPCs are feeling nice. The
Yeah.
ground combat NPCs on like a good server are actually kind of nutty. Like they'll flank you. They throw
It feels
like
like they're
damn
proper.
near perfect grenades. Like it's actually kind of scary if you're like
It's
solo
fun.
or even a
Yeah.
duo.
I have been
Yeah.
doing some of that, like the DCs and EPTU. I was enjoying that when it was running
Those are
well.
pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was a couple of times too where we left the when we finished the DC and go back to our ships, and it was like a squad of guys waiting for us at our ship. Right? They blow up your ship and just wait. So it's
Oh my
like,
god.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. So I definitely agree with that. What about the UI and stuff? What do you think of that?
Overall, I like some aspects of the UI. I fucking hate the camera. Like, it's not camera shake, but it's like your HUD shake when you're flying. Like, that's
Yeah, it's
fucking
god awful.
drives me insane.
Can you
I'll
shut
be
it
looking
off?
at chat and it's just like fucking.
How do you feel about the new like
Shaking.
indicators for friendlies versus empty ships versus everything's white now instead of
Everything's
having
white,
blue,
yeah.
red?
So
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
make any
bad.
sense. Right?
annoying. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they're red, they shot at you or they have a bounty, and that's cool, I guess. But your friendly ships should have also a different color. Like, I want to know where my friends are at. You know?
You're
I
only
agree.
you saying outside the party, right? Doesn't the party markers are blue, right?
I guess are they still
Are
blue?
they white? I thought
I
they
haven't
were white.
noticed.
Party markers are
they
blue.
were white.
Randoms are white, just like empty ships, and then criminal players are red. So
Okay.
it's like, oh, it's double pip. Is that what it is? It's like oh no, never mind. I'm thinking something else.
Oh yeah, the
But yeah.
double fucking pip thing is also fucking annoying. Like if I'm in a party with Keebler, I get the fucking Keebler over it, and then his
Yeah.
his like ship tag, and then like
Mhm.
that's annoying.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like I don't
But
understand.
Question from
with
chat.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Never mind. You were saying the double pip. I'm just a little ADHD, so go
No,
ahead and
you're
keep
good.
going.
You're good. You're good. I was just gonna point out that like I in the FPS side of things, I don't know how I feel about the hit reg marker. Like I don't know if I like that or not. Sometimes I think I get bugged and I don't have it and I'm like, this feels good. But then like when you get the
Oh,
hit
yeah.
marker when you're shooting somebody and then when you kill him, it goes like cha-ching, you know, or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
like Call of Duty or something, right? So
Yeah.
that I know what you're talking about though. You lose like that marker. The fix for that is if you just press I twice, you go in your inventory, go out, you'll get
I
that
just
back.
rather keep it off.
But yeah,
Feels
but you still
better.
get the sound, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it either, because I do like the dynamic crosshair. I think it's kind of cool. But the sound is too over the top for me. Yeah, you get like that. It's like an endorphin rush sound, right? Like kill, right? But it's
Double
too over.
kill.
It's just
Triple
weird to me.
kill.
Like what it like.
Shady mania.
I don't know. Just yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just it is an
Wait.
odd touch.
Does River still have the one he was going to use for his last video? I think he came up with some sort of Slayer sound over for his video he didn't use. We should use
Oh,
that.
I forgot what that was.
Yeah, I forgot
Did
what it was
mention it.
too.
Okay. Another question that I had for you guys is, without knowing what has been leaked, what would you all want to see at Invictus if you had your wish?
Server meshing.
I think he's talking.
I missed the show.
More ships.
Sail that ship in, please.
I think he's talking more ships, like proper ships. Nerd.
I kind of want to see some actual big ships, you know?
Polaris.
Like,
Polaris would
yeah,
have been really
give me
cool.
the
or
Polaris. Or the
Zeus
Zeus.
would've been
Yeah,
really neat.
Zeus would be sick. I think Zeus
Zeus,
is going to
yeah.
be cool. And if it, you know, classic SIG trajectory, it's going to be absolutely deadly, right? Because it's new.
He says server meshing counts. So I guess okay, that works.
Server
I'd like
meshing
to see
counts? Yeah. Bring a server
I would
meshing.
like to see. You guys saw the new leak on
Show me a
the Saber
flight.
Raven, where it's just a missile boat and that's all it is. I was really hoping that when they were first leaking the images, that was going to be like a QED variant of the Saber.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that would have been
Sick.
really cool.
It would have
But we
paired
never
so
got it.
nicely.
So
Legionnaire would be on my list
but
personally.
hear me out though. Hear me out. So
Sure.
server meshing, because with server meshing, that allows for the large capital ships that need, you know, lots of people, basically almost a server full of people to run it.
Mhm.
And if you have one of those large ships and there's no server meshing, you don't have those large ships. Right?
It's true.
So I mean, I'm dying for that. I don't even have an org large enough. We don't have a org large enough to freaking man it. So I don't know anything about large ships. All my ships right now,
Yeah,
the only ship
not
I have,
yet.
they were making fun of me earlier because the only ship that I could carry all my weapons over to freaking Grim Hex with was a cutter, because everything else doesn't have any real storage. So,
Actually,
I was
really
like, "Can
like
you guys
what
watch
they're
my
doing
back?"
with the inventory, aside from like the kind of gamey. Like, I get what they're trying to go for. I like the idea of the physicalized inventory. I wish that we had that, as opposed to, you know, magic inventory where you have to actually go into your habs, grab stuff, or like storage, whatever. I don't care, and, you know, throw it into a box like physically or something of that sort. That'd be a lot better in my opinion.
I
So,
mean, I'm looking
one more
forward to the
step, yeah,
hangers.
but personal hangers would have been kind of cool, even though you can't just hop into someone's, you know, ship and try to, you know.
Well, there's gonna
Still
be
in there.
what? There's no way
gonna miss
around that. You can't like be on the elevator with them and desync your way out the doors with them.
No,
They
it's
don't
an
even know you
instance.
desync.
It's an instance.
So you
But
can't get any instance at all. Damn.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that
We
does
don't know.
kind of stink, because there is one of the things I definitely do like about the way the hangars are now is the fact that you can wait in that hangar, right, and then sneak on the ship. And I know we have a couple guys in New York that's like their gameplay. So that's cool, but like I don't
It's
know.
not me. It's not me.
Yeah. What? That's not you? Yeah, you don't do that. No, certainly
No,
not.
I've
None of the
never
guys
done
here
that.
would ever do something like that.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I'd rather them get in their ship and then I can let it float for the next 5 minutes through space.
Mhm. All right. With that being said, guys, I think, do we have any more questions from chat? Otherwise, I think we'll try to wrap it up there, guys.
Yeah. Do we have any
My
more
question-
questions from chat? Let's see
here's a
here.
question.
Oh, we have a
How did you
caller.
get your, like, how did you
Defango
get
is in
your
the call. No, I'm just kidding.
no? The question I had for Thumb was, how did you get your name for like gaming? Is that from like back in the day? You said you used to play like Rust or something,
Why
or
would you ask that?
I've had
Why not?
this name since the Halo days. Yeah, I got it. So I'm a, like, throughout my whole life, I was a wrestler, and I'd always joke around. In wrestling, we call it checking someone's oil. So if someone's
Yep.
stalled, you know, check their oil. And I always like made that joke a lot. So people on the wrestling team just called me Thumb. And then when I made my Xbox Halo account, I was like, I'm doing ThumbInUrBum. So it's kind of been with me ever since. And then if anybody like Twitch, I think there's actually already a thumb in your bum, but there's been a few places that like say that's not allowed, so I just add an extra M and it bypasses.
Can I just comment on your name and just kind of tell you something here? I won't lie that when you started like really rising up the ranks and piloting and killed me, I did not want to die by thumb in your bum. I'm just saying. It's like, fuck this. No, just playing.
Yeah, my old name used to be Jack Navarre, but yeah, thumb in your bum, better fit.
Dang.
It was like going opposite
I've known you
directions.
for a couple years.
One went that way and the other comes towards you, you know?
I remember that name.
I'm going to give a couple more shout outs for our friend Thumb here. If I can do that really quick. And then just a reminder, guys, we'll be posting this episode on YouTube, I think tomorrow, actually, Elder, if that's cool with you. And we'll just
Yeah,
get it up,
the wrong link,
you know, online. There's no
just
link
for,
yet.
Just for you, Calamity. Boom.
All right.
And
And then there's the rest of that. If you guys have any recommendations on some we could go raid, let me know. Otherwise, huge thanks to everybody that turned out. Huge thank you to you, Thumb, for popping in and talking about thumbs, bums, and, you know, ships. So that was pretty cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome
So again,
having
guys,
you.
If you haven't checked out our friend Thumb, the link is up there. Go shoot him a follow. Go check him out. He's a lot of fun when he's live. And then let's go find someone to rate. If you guys have any recommendations, let's try to keep it in the PvP non-Bob territory if we have the option.
All right, let's see who's doing the street sweeping now. Never mind. I'm not known for being funny.
There's a lot of failed jokes tonight.
Yeah, I know. Okay, with that being said, we'll catch you guys next, probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, depending on like what things are looking like. And again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.
Good night, guys.